Chuck Schumer's not having the best week. And for whatever reason, he thought it would be a good idea to go on this media tour to explain why he decided to vote along with the GOP legislation in the Senate. That's what Chuck Schumer has decided to do. And it did not go well for him. This was quite embarrassing. It wasn't just The View. It was also Chris Hayes, also known as Emoji Dude. We give a shout out here to Case Study QB. Chuck Schumer appeared on Chris Hayes only to be faced with his own critics. Chris Hayes, in this particular setting, decides to show Chuck Schumer to his face what other Democrats in Congress are saying about his decision. Talk about embarrassing. Let's get into it.
About it.
Well, I want to sort of pivot it a little to more of a tactical decision, because there was something that happened here that doesn't normally happen, which is they knew they needed Democratic votes and they cut you out entirely. Now, when that has happened before, Republicans have filibustered successfully and forced Democrats to the table. And so just purely at the level of how the tactics brought us to this point, I want to play some of the criticism, again, not from like backseat drivers or not from me on cable news, but people like Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi. Take a listen.
Look, Chuck and I disagreed as it relates to the approach and outcome.
I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party.
I still support Senator Schumer as leader, but I think the only way that we are going to be effective as a caucus is if we change our tactics.
I would have liked to see, when Chuck Schumer had leverage here, to say we need A, B, C, and D for the Democratic Party and force the Republicans to meet him halfway on those issues.
I myself don't give away anything for nothing. And I think that's what happened the other day.
They said.
So mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Schumer is taking notes, right? He's all of those people that they're showing him to his face. Chuck Schumer is taking notes and he's like, okay, AOC, Hakeem, Nancy. Oh, you almost out of there anyway. Who else? Shapiro. We're going to make sure we put up money against you. He taking notes, mental notes, but it's embarrassing. Like he's shown this to him his face.
Okay, he said leverage. I think it was the governor.
And Nancy Pelosi said, I myself don't give away anything for nothing. I think that's what happened.
The only leverage we had, they weren't going to negotiate with us. So there were two choices only. It would be nice if we had a third choice. We tried to get that third choice with the 30-day extension that Patty Murray tried to get some more moderate Republicans on the Appropriations Committee go along. They wouldn't. So we were faced only the Senate. Not the House. They had a little easier because they could vote no against the CR and not cause a shutdown. Right. But in the Senate, the only two choices were these choices, period. And the choice of the shutdown was so severe, you're giving them the keys to the city. Why would we? Look, this guy, the worst of them all, is this guy who's head of OMB named Vote, VOUGHT, but people hear the word vote. He already has a plan to shut down a large church.
He's doing it right now.
No, he cannot. Now, if you don't have a shutdown, you can go to court. Right. And we've had some successful results in the courts. A lot of the judges we put in, Chris, you know, the 235, we've won about 85% of the cases. Shutdown, no court. They make the decision and they can make it quickly, easily, and across the whole federal government, not just the things that were in the CR.
But here's.
So listen up, Chucky Boo. People aren't buying this, bud. People are not buying this. Do you know how many people have contacted me privately and told me that they're done with the Democratic Party now, like for real? People are not buying this because the problem that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have is that they're trying to play by the book when your opposition is not playing by the book. And at this point, you going along with them. So you ain't really got no opposition like you think you do. You're trying to play by the book. It's like, I don't know. It's like knowing that your sports rival knowing that they got your playbook and they made copies of your playbook and they know all your plays and all the tricks, and they're going to use all these tricks against you. And you're still kind of like, let's just do things by the book. And you still expect to win. You know, I had to bring in sports, you guys. What a clusterfuck of a government. You guys know I had to bring in sports, right? Like, why people are not falling for this? The only one buying this is Chuck. Okay? Even Emoji Dude in this discussion is not buying it. That's why he's looking at you funny. He got to show you the people that disagree with you to your face. Embarrassing. There have been calls for Chuck Schumer to resign. Calls for him to resign.
To me, my understanding of the critique that's broader than the specifics here, which is about the level and depth of crisis we're in and the appropriate tactics to meet them. And so what I think people think is, first of all, we all know the Senate functions on unanimous consent. It's how anything happens. We've watched real pains in the butt, Tommy Tuberville, basically bring the place to a halt. Just denying unanimous consent because he was mad the Department of Defense might somewhere pay for a portion, right? The idea of how cataclysmic that shutdown, I hear what you're saying. But what I'm hearing from people, and there's a lot of them, is right now a crisis is happening unlike anything the Republic has faced, maybe since even the Civil War. Most Americans don't quite grasp it. And it's your job as the most powerful Democrat to use whatever tactics you have to communicate that. And by going along with this, you have missed this opportunity to tell the nation just how bad it is.
There's only one choice to going along with it. Shut down. We have to pick the fights, and I want to fight Trump as much as anybody and stop him and not give Republicans sucker help.
No, you don't. Let me tell you something, all right? Chuck and Trump go way back. Chuckaboo and Trump go way back. They're old school New York guys. Come on, man. Donald Trump has donated to Chuck Schumer before. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. The mask is off, okay? Even people who were still willing to give you a smidgen of a chance are now looking at you like, what the hell? I didn't seen it all. Seen it all. The mask is off. They're buddies. They're bros. They're pals. A lot of this that you guys are seeing is theater, okay? So these two parties pretend to be in opposition of each other so that they can maintain the status quo. That's really what it's about. Prevent you going towards any type of real left policies, which are policies for the working class. Prevent you any of that happening. So they pretend to be in opposition of each other. It's a chess game. But now, because the mask is falling off, it's more like checkers. We starting to see pictures of you guys, buddy, outside of DC, okay? So we seeing these images of you guys being pals, buds. It's bullshit. It's absolutely ridiculous. Everyone can see through this. Stop it with, well, then the government just would have shut down. Then that motherfucker would have shut down. It wouldn't have been the first time. Why is Chuck Schumer acting like, oh, the government would shut down? It'll be a disaster. You know how many times the government is shut down? Now all of a sudden we care about a shutdown. You make them give in. You make them cave to your demands. And that is not who Chuck Schumer is. That's not who he is. He don't really give a damn. He just wanted to get the vote over with so he can go on his book tour. That's what he wanted to do. Now he had to put that on pause because he's afraid that he's going to face protesters at the book tour. You damn right. A little bit more here, and then we'll go to his appearance on The View.
But in this situation,
doesn't it call the question? Doesn't the crisis create the attentional vortex that is necessary? Because right now, people have no idea that they're going to basically get rid of all of American universities and all of American science funding. We try to communicate it every night, but there's nothing like a crisis to drive that home.
But the drama of the shutdown, eliminating all of these things would do such damage substantively that I couldn't tolerate it. I couldn't live with it. You know, I know there's the idea that
No, the donors couldn't live with it. We had enough of you here, okay? It's not that you couldn't live with it. The donor class couldn't live with it. You on the same team, fam. You on the same team. Now, he did decide to appear on The View. I want you to hear how they were talking about this right before he came on to the show. Listen.
Democratic voters say 2-1. They want party leaders to fight rather than compromise, even at the risk of not getting things done. And I think that's what we're seeing. Yes, you want people to be able to exercise their First Amendment rights to protest and to get into the streets, get out there and say, this is what we want. But we know that this administration is not playing by the rules. They're certainly not playing by the Constitution. And people are now being arrested for exercising their constitutional rights. So you do need a leader, but you need a leader with fight. I've said it over and over again. This is not about being a resistance party. That's very passive. This is about being an opposition party, which is an action that's very, very active. And when you look at leaders that it seems that people are supporting, you're looking at the Jasmine Crockett, who doesn't care, who's going to fight for you. You're looking at the Al Green with his cane, who's saying, my constituents need Medicaid. You're looking at that. You're looking at, I would say, an AOC. Her name keeps on coming up because she's out there every single day saying, this is what we need to do. So what I want to see is I want to see somebody meet energy with energy. I want to see a Democratic leader that doesn't capitulate, that doesn't make deals with the other side when the other side is interested in making deals. It's their way or the highway. Let's.
No, you don't. Because every time those types of politicians came onto The View, you made it very clear that you just wanted to maintain the status quo. See, now that Donald Trump's in office, now all of a sudden you want a fighter. Everybody see how this works now? Now all of a sudden, like, we want a Democrat that's going to fight. But when people were trying to fight, you wanted them to get in line. Okay. You guys were sitting up there telling people to vote for Kamala Harris. Did Kamala Harris look like a fighter to you? If she was in a room, if she was in a ring, she would have to bob and weave. Kamala Harris did not look like a fighter. It was interesting. She mentioned Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett ain't passing no legislation. Jasmine Crockett is just dancing in the hallway. Right? So don't just mention her just because she's black, Sonny. She ain't doing shit either. She just dancing in the hallway and sticking her tongue out and all that jazz. Okay? AOC is one of the most ineffective leaders in Congress, according to the numbers. I'm not making this up. It's the data. You can Google it for yourself. But it's just interesting to me that now all of a sudden it's okay to have someone who wants to fight. But when Democrats were in power and they were maintaining the status quo, which is exactly how you got a Donald Trump elected again in the first damn place, you didn't want people to fight. You didn't want people to speak up.
See a leader that's willing to fight.
Okay. So I break a little bit with Sonny on that. And I think this is the infighting you're seeing on the left. I'm an independent, but I'm a left-leaning independent. So when I look at this fight, there's about 65%, like Sonny, who want the resistance, the fight, at the expense of getting nothing done. That just does not track in my mind. 32%.
Why is it at the expense of getting nothing done?
No, they're saying they would fight even at the expense of seeing nothing done. And to me,
because
that's...
Republicans aren't good. They're going to do what they want to do.
But my point here is that they're, like James Carville has said before, there's a resistance within the party that also believes strategically letting them hang themselves. Yeah. Don't get out of the way. Don't be passive. But they are hanging themselves. You've got court cases that are coming down the road of all of these 24 cases. All this stuff is happening. No. I know people are hurting, and I can relate, as Alyssa Slotkin said here, to the rage. We all share.
No, you can't relate. And that, I'm sorry, that's part of the problem. No, Sarah. Sarah is basically telling you that the Democrats should just chill and just let the Republican Party just hang themselves. That's what she's saying, right? No. Because the Democrats tried to do that when Trump was in office the first damn time. No. Like, no, you should fight. And no, you don't understand. You're not poor. None of these women on this panel are working class. None of them. All these women, maybe with the exception of Alyssa, I think Alyssa might make the least. These women are millionaires. They don't understand. You don't understand. That's the problem. You don't know what it's like to lose Medicaid. You don't know what it's like to not have health care, not have health insurance. I know what it's like to not have health insurance. I've been there. You don't know what it's like. You guys get in cars in the morning and drive up to the View to do this show where the average New Yorker has to take the subway. They don't even take the subway, fam. They're not like you. They're not the same. So no, you don't understand, Sarah. You don't. That's a big part of the problem. Sitting back on your hands and not doing anything is what allowed a Trump to win again in the first damn place. That's how he won again, because the Democratic Party didn't want a working class agenda. They didn't want to actually give tangibles to the working class people in this country. And Biden kept some of Trump's tax cuts. He continued some of those. That's a big part of the problem. These women get in a car. They have a driver to come pick them up and bring them to the View in New York City. When the average person has to take the subway, they don't understand. They do not know.
The anger in the reaction, but our solutions come at different angles. I am looking for everyone in DC to stop looking at it as a basketball game where we win, we lose, we fight, and they get stuff done. Yeah. Right now, the censures and the ceremonial, we have a paddle and we have a pink shirt, and they need a leader, because without a leader, they don't coalesce around the same cause. The thing Republicans did well, and they won this election because of it, is they had two clear messages. They repeated it over and over: immigration and economics, over and over again. Democrats don't have clear messaging because they stand for every damn thing.
Well, I don't know about.
So here's the thing. When she says that they need to get things done, so I'm going to give you the reality, and then we'll bring in the Chuck Schumer part. The reality is they're not going to be able to get anything done in the Senate for quite some time. And let me explain why. Those seats that flipped in the Senate that went from blue to red, those senators just got there. They'll be there for 6 years. I mean, Senate term isn't 2 years, it's 6. So the Democrats won't even have a chance of flipping those two seats back blue until 6 years from now, which means the Democrats are not going to lead the Senate for at least 6 years. I don't see them flipping any of those other seats. The other red seats are in red districts. So I don't see that happening. And I don't want to scare people, but I really got to give you the business. The reality is, I don't see the Democrats having control of that Senate for at least 6 years. So knowing what I just told you, if they're not going to have control of that Senate for at least 6 years, that means that the actions have to come from the grassroots on the outside. Now, Chris Smalls was just with us on RBN earlier today. He is trying to organize a general strike. He is going across the country doing town halls with people for a general strike. Chris Smalls is still in the fight. It wasn't just, I'm just going to unionize Amazon and just go away, right? This is why I said we need a general strike. This is why I said we need to build more worker cooperatives. This is why I said we need to expand mutual aid organizations. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So everyone write this moment down. The Democrats are not going to have control of the Senate for at least another 6 years, because the other red seats, they're not going to be able to flip because it's a red district. And some people may not tell you this, but you guys need to know. You guys need to know this. That's the reality. If something passed the House, it doesn't matter if it can't pass the Senate. So Chuck Schumer comes on and he tells this blatant lie. Listen to this.
It was really never that bad until 2017. And until October 7th last year. Yeah. And all of a sudden,
when the Jews were attacked
were attacked by Hamas initially, and the women raped, and the little babies' heads chopped off, and all of.
Does everybody see what Chuck Schumer is doing?
That brutally. And all of a sudden, anti-Semitism developed. It was really never that.
So Chuck Schumer is on this book tour, which is what I told you. This is where his energy is really at, right? Because I told you they make more money off of these books, etc. A lot of these senators have become very wealthy and they're not trying to do anything. They just want to sit on their ass and make a lot of money. They're not there to fight. Chuck is one of them. He takes a lot of money from AIPAC as well. So keep that in mind. 2, he is spreading that lie that has been debunked multiple times over and over and over. The beheaded babies lie has been debunked, not just by independent media, but also by corporate media itself. And he goes right on to The View and he continues to spread this ridiculous lie. There were no beheaded babies on October 7th. And he continues to spread this lie, this propaganda. You guys trust this guy, man? You trust this guy? He's a Zionist. He's Israel first. You don't have a $15 minimum wage because he's Israel first. You don't have universal health care because he's Israel first. And most of them senators sitting up in there are Israel first too. That's why you don't have those things here. Even if that means that he has to continue to spread that lie. Propaganda. So I was very surprised, though, when Sonny Hostin kind of came after him here. Actually, we'll go to this one first. Listen to this, his explanation for why he did what he did.
You mentioned, this is what a leader does. And we were just talking in our last segment about we aren't seeing a clear leader of the party because even though I agree with you with your decision, and I see why, but you were only able to get 9 Democrats to go with you. How is that leadership?
Why?
Okay. Look, the bottom line is there were a whole lot of Democrats who were torn. And they on the one hand, people were clamoring, do something now, do something now. Now, do we have to act and do we have to fight these Republicans, this right-wing group,
the MAGA.
Not all Republicans, every step of the way? But do it in the smartest way possible. If you're fighting them and then you end up in this shutdown, let me tell you something.
Did you catch what he said there? Do we have to fight these Republicans, these right wing? Yes, we have to fight them. Not all Republicans. I don't know if everybody caught that. He's letting you know he's not really there to be opposition.
We ended up a shutdown 3 weeks from now. People would come to me and they'd say, they just cut off my Medicaid. They just got rid of my veterans benefits. Stop it. And I said, we can't. We're in a shutdown. And then they'd say to me, why did you let the shutdown happen?
Yeah.
So a lot of people responded to the anguish. I appreciate it. I wake up 3 a.m. sometimes so worried about the future of the country under these oligarchs or klepto, whatever,
No, you don't. You don't wake up 3 o'clock in the morning worried about the future of the country under the oligarchs because you support these lobbies that actively have booted Democrats out of Congress. You support AIPAC. You're not mad at oligarchs. You and Trump were buds. Y'all bros, man. You're not against the oligarchy. What are you doing? What are you trying to say? He's full of it. We'll let him finish here.
Oligarchs, I guess.
Yes.
And but you've got to find. We are fighting them tooth and nail in every way we can, but you got to fight them smart. And if you led yourself into a shutdown, which by the way, Musk, Doge, Vote, they want a shutdown. They said they wanted a shutdown.
Well,
and they thought we'd play into their hands.
They also wanted you to vote with them. Either way, you look like a clown. Like Chuck Schumer looks like an absolute clown. And the message that people were trying to tell him is, listen, just do your job, okay? You don't have to be a football player for the New England Patriots to do your job. And as a leader in the Senate, that's what you should be focused on. That's what you should be doing. But you just cave and let's just go ahead and vote along with the Republicans. You don't see it the other way around. You don't see Republicans in Congress saying, oh man, I really hope these Democrats will be my friends. I hope I can get these Democrats to coalesce with me on legislation. And I hope we can win over some of these Democrats. It's always been the Democratic Party is trying to move over to the Republicans. The Democratic Party wants to recruit the Republicans. The Democratic Party cares so much about what the Republican Party thinks about them because they both hate the left. The true left. Anti-establishment. They both hate it. So it was interesting. I was kind of surprised that Sunny said this, but somebody said it. She kind of calls them out here.
Governor Pritzker's chief of staff, Ann Caprara, has said the following. The fight going on in the Democratic Party right now is not between hard left, right, and moderate. It's between those who want to fight and those who want to cave. And it gives me no pleasure to say this to you because we are friends, but I think you caved. I think you and 9 other Democrats caved. I don't think you showed the fight that this party needs right now because you're playing with by a rule book where the other party has thrown that rule book away.
True.
And so in my view, what you did.
So what's interesting here is, did you guys catch that they're friends? I told you guys it's all one big club.
It really was in supporting that GOP partisan bill that Democrats had no input in. You cleared the way for Donald Trump and Elon Musk to gut Social Security, to gut Medicare, to gut Medicaid. Why did you lead Democratic senators to play by that book that the Republicans are not playing by?
Okay, first,
We might, you know what? I've never done this for Sunny. I've never done it, but we might have to do it, guys. We might have to drop the beat for Sunny. I think it's time. We got to drop it. Dance with me. Dance with me. Do the bump. Shake the bump. Hey. Hey. I'm still mad at you, Sonny, because you told people that they should have voted for Kamala and Kamala's going to win. And none of y'all should have been pushing these candidates that wouldn't withhold weapons from Israel, these candidates that were Israel first. None of y'all should have been supporting them. But I'll give you credit for this one.
I'd say, Sonny, no one wants to fight more than me, and no one fights more than me. You got to fight smart. It is not true. That bill had far less it was bad. I hated it. But it does far less damage to Social Security. Medicare, Medicaid are far more susceptible to being eliminated, which is what that horrible Musk. Can you imagine this guy Musk?
Listen to this. Now he's trying to deflect to Elon Musk, right? Listen to this. This is the lesser of two evils. It was bad, but it was better than da 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 da. So this is the lesser of two evils, guys. That's why I told you it doesn't work.
Billionaire saying $1,100 for a senior citizen is not necessary,
But aren't
or
there
a Ponzi
cuts
scheme.
in that bill?
There are many fewer cuts in that bill than that would be in a shutdown.
But they
it was
still
a bad
exist.
choice. So we got to. Yes, they exist. But
You
if you
have to
have
work with
two,
the cards
if
you
you
have.
have two choices, one bad, the other devastating. One chops off one of your fingers, the other chops off your arm.
That's right.
So I want to fight, and we are fighting. We're going to fight every day on this, every day. Today, we're fighting them on Medicaid. Tomorrow, we're going to fight them on, the next few days on tariffs. We're going to fight them on Social Security. But I want to win and fight smart.
Yeah.
Not just, I understand, we want to stick it to them.
Okay,
We're going to stick it to them and fight smart and win.
Okay.
So what he's really saying is that he's going to continue to do his book tour that he's, got in the wings. He's going to continue to do his book tour about anti-Semitism and this whole lie that he just sat there and said that nobody fights harder than him. You ain't fighting, bruh. You ain't fighting. I don't see you going into working class communities, trying to talk to people and trying to figure out what their needs are and what those communities have been asking for. You're not even making an appearance at any of these events that Bernie and AOC are doing, even though I know those events are to bring people back to the Democratic Party. You're not even willing to do that. this whole no one fights harder than me, you ain't really fighting for nothing. You fighting to continue to maintain your career and your status and to stay in the bubble that you're staying in. Let us not forget, a lot of these people that are in this circle with Chuck Schumer, they was loving some Elon Musk before he was on Trump's side. They was loving some Elon Musk before he took over Twitter. They were loving some Elon Musk before he decided not to be a part of their team. And now they're like, oh my God, this guy's a billionaire. He's evil. When working class people were saying that for the longest time. You didn't think he was evil, an evil billionaire, when he prevented Tesla employees from being able to unionize? You didn't think he was a problem then? No, y'all was at the same parties. You guys were sipping champagne and eating hors d'oeuvres at the same parties. All of them. They all in the same circle. The same with these women here on The View. They used to love Trump. They used to love all these people. They loved kissing their ass. They were all on the same team that we were not a part of and still not a part of. Never forget that. Because at the end of the day, regardless if a Republican or a Democrat wins, at the end of the day, those people will all still be on the same class team. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.